Today, we're diving into the whirlwind of actions taken by President Donald Trump in the first 4 weeks of his second term, right from January 20th, 2025, through mid-February. Whether you're a passionate supporter, a fierce critic, or just curious about what's happening, we're here to give you the inside scoop on Trump's bold moves. Let's start at the very beginning. Trump wasted no time on day one. One of his first executive orders pulled the United States out of the World Health Organization and the Paris Climate Treaty. These moves, designed to reverse key Biden-era policies, signal his commitment to America first on the global stage. And speaking of reversal, another hot topic. In a dramatic display of executive power, Trump issued mass pardons for hundreds of January 6th protesters, an act that critics say not only undermines the rule of law but also reasserts his long-standing vendetta against what he calls the deep state. At the same time, his administration has pushed through tougher immigration enforcement measures, ramping up raids and even suspending the resettlement of certain refugee groups deemed a national security risk. And while those moves have stirred controversy, another area where Trump is shaking things up is by tightening control over independent agencies. His new order requires agencies like the Federal Election Commission, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and even the National Labor Relations Board to check with the White House on major policy decisions. This is a clear bid to re-centralize power and ensure that his agenda dominates every corner of the federal government. Now, let's talk about the cabinet confirmations, a topic that's been in the news non-stop these past few weeks. Trump's second-term picks are drawing headlines for their controversy and razor-thin confirmation votes. For example, Tulsi Gabbard was confirmed as Director of National Intelligence by a 52-48 vote. Only Senator Mitch McConnell among Republicans voted against her, highlighting just how polarizing her nomination has been. And then there's Robert F. Kennedy Jr., nominated to lead Health and Human Services. Despite widespread protests from thousands of doctors and even Nobel laureates urging the Senate to reject his nomination due to his anti-vaccine stance and conspiracy theory endorsements, the Senate narrowly confirmed him 52-48. It's one of the most contentious confirmations we've seen, and it underscores Trump's willingness to appoint loyalists, even if they're deeply divisive figures. And over in the Pentagon, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, a former Fox News host and Army National Guard veteran, was confirmed by a 51-50 vote, with Vice President J.D. Vance breaking the tie. Not to forget Kash Patel, Trump's pick for FBI director who, despite his reputation for promoting conspiracy theories and his promise to target his so-called deep state enemies, secured confirmation with a similarly narrow margin. These confirmation battles show just how determined Trump is to install a cabinet that reflects his personal vision, no matter how controversial. Switching gears to trade, Trump's tariffs have taken center stage as well. On February 1st, he signed executive orders imposing a 25% tariff on imports from Canada and Mexico. For Canadian energy exports, however, he opted for a lower 10% tariff. Trump justified these tariffs by blaming illegal immigration and the influx of drugs, especially fentanyl, on the borders. He claimed that Canada, for example, is subsidized to the tune of around $200 billion a year, and even teased the possibility of annexing Canada as the 51st state. That rhetoric definitely got tongues wagging. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum didn't take it lightly. Both leaders managed to negotiate a 30-day delay on these tariffs, promising to bolster border security and take steps to clamp down on drug trafficking, things they had already discussed with the Biden administration. Trudeau even went on record saying that without improved cooperation, the U.S. tariffs would force Canada into an economic corner, a move that could have far-reaching consequences for trade between these historically friendly neighbors. And it's not just rhetoric. The tariffs are set to hit multiple industries hard. U.S. companies that import a significant portion of their goods, from agricultural products to automobiles, stand to face higher costs, while Canada and Mexico have already begun planning retaliatory measures. Reuters and CNBC reports indicate that these tariff moves, if fully implemented, could disrupt supply chains and increase consumer prices both in the United States and abroad. Beyond tariffs and cabinet battles, Trump's administration has also rolled out significant military policy changes. His executive orders have reversed Biden-era policies by banning transgender service members, and dismantling federal DEI programs in the military. These moves aim to restore a warrior ethos to the armed forces, according to Trump's supporters, though critics worry they could weaken the military's cohesion and tarnish its reputation. Now there's another international front that's been making headlines: the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. Trump has made a series of provocative comments about the war. He's criticized Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, calling his leadership weak, and has repeatedly suggested that he'd be willing to negotiate directly with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Trump has even been in contact with Putin in recent weeks, discussing potential de-escalation measures and hinting at a rebalancing of U.S. policy in the region. Trump's rhetoric on Ukraine is a stark departure from the firm stance many expect from a U.S. president. By downplaying Zelensky's leadership and expressing openness to direct talks with Putin, Trump appears to be signaling a willingness to reassess U.S. involvement in the conflict, an approach that critics argue could embolden Putin and undermine the security guarantees long provided to Ukraine. And while Trump insists his goal is to end an endless war and bring about peace, many European allies and U.S. lawmakers are deeply concerned. They warn that such an approach risks destabilizing not just Ukraine, but the entire European security order and NATO's credibility. Trump's comments, including calling Zelensky a dictator and praising Putin's strong leadership, have already sparked heated debates in Congress and internationally. It's a clear message. Trump is reasserting his authority on every front, whether it's using executive orders to pull the U.S. out of international agreements, reshaping immigration enforcement, or confirming a cabinet with nominees who are as controversial as they are loyal. The president's first 4 weeks back have been nothing short of explosive. So what does this all mean for the future of American politics? For his supporters, these bold actions are a promise fulfilled, a return to policies that put American interests first and dismantle bureaucratic inertia. For his critics, however, these moves represent a dangerous overreach of executive power, an erosion of institutional norms, and a potential harbinger of increased domestic polarization and economic instability. As we move further into his second term, the nation, and indeed the world, will be watching closely to see how these policies unfold. Will Trump's approach reinvigorate American industry and security, or will it spark a cascade of retaliatory measures and long-term damage to established alliances? That's the big question, isn't it? We hope this deep dive into Trump's first 4 weeks back in office, covering everything from sweeping policy reversals and hardline immigration measures to controversial cabinet confirmations, aggressive tariffs, and a provocative stance on the Russia-Ukraine war, has given you a clearer picture of his renewed agenda. Well, that's it for today's episode of The Viral Vault. If you enjoyed our deep dive into Trump's latest moves, from his controversial cabinet confirmations to his aggressive tariff strategy, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video with your friends. Until next time, stay tuned, stay informed, and thanks for joining us on The Viral Vault.